Hi and welcome to Market Vision's Mutual Funds module. This is Deepak bringing you an introduction to the concept of mutual funds. First, let's look at what collective pooled investments are. Let's say you and I have some money to invest. We just don't know where to invest the money, So we have a friend, a smart market guy called Anand. Say, take the money, invest it. He invests the money in the market. He gets some returns, and for his work he takes some fees from the pool. The remaining is owned by you and me in the same proportion that we invested it in. Mutual funds are just a form of such investment. So multiple people put in money. They buy into a mutual fund which has a fund manager, and the fund manager then deploys the money into various options. Could be stocks, derivatives, bonds, or debt, and whatever the mutual fund is mandated in. Let's look at slightly more detail into the structure of mutual funds in India. You have investors, people who put in money. You've got asset management companies or AMCs. These are companies essentially mandated to manage mutual funds, and these asset management companies create mutual funds that are mandated to invest in certain kinds of instruments. So an equity fund will invest primarily in the equity of stock markets. A debt fund will not invest in the stock markets. It will invest in government bonds or in fixed income securities or liquid markets. You have hybrid funds, which are a combination of the two. Asset management company creates these funds, appoints a fund manager for every fund, and investors put their money into these mutual funds. That's the way the overall structure works. Apart from there are different entities who are involved. You have a sponsor who is for all practical purposes the owner of the asset management company itself. So you may have a fund called HDFC Equity Fund, which is managed by an AMC called HDFC Asset Management Company, and its sponsor is the parent, which is HDFC itself. You have trustees appointed by the sponsor. Typically they have to be independent and have to assess that the asset management company is doing the right job for its investors in each of the funds that it manages. And you have custodians and registrars. These are essentially people or entities who make sure that investors can do transactions, that they're recorded, that their portfolios are recorded and sent to investors and managed in terms of accounted properly. Now, how does a mutual fund actually work? Let's start with an example. Let's say 10 people put in 1 lakh rupees each. That's 100,000 rupees each. We've got 10 lakhs in total, and let's divide this into 100,000 units of 10 rupees each. Okay, so you've got 10 lakh rupees, you've got 1 lakh units of 10 rupees each, and everybody gets 10,000 units. That reflects their investment of 1 lakh. So 10,000 units, 10 rupees each, is what the initial investment is for every single person in the fund. The fund manager then takes this money and invests it in maybe the stock market. In 1 year, let's say the fund manager grows this 10 lakhs to 15 lakhs. Now the fund manager has to be given a fee. Usually what happens is grown slowly from 10 lakhs to 15 lakhs, but just for simplicity's sake, let's say give him the 2% of assets after 1 year. 2% of 15 lakhs is 30,000 rupees. Let's give him 30,000 rupees. We are left with 14.7 lakhs. But we still have the same number of units, 100,000. It started off with 1 lakh units. That's 100,000 units still left. So price per unit has gone from 10 rupees to 14.7 rupees. That is called the net asset value, or the NAV of the mutual fund. NAV is usually net asset value per unit, but people usually shorten it to NAV. Now let's say there's a new buyer that comes in. He wants to put in his 100,000 rupees. He'll get, the number of units he will get is 100,000 rupees divided by the NAV, the net asset value per unit, which is 14.7. So he gets 6,802 0.7211 units. Notice there are 4 decimal places in this case what we have considered. The reason is that you don't always get a divisible figure, so you have to do fractions as well. You can't do fractions in shares in India because it's not allowed, so you can't buy 2.5 shares or 3.5 shares. So if a share is priced at 2000 rupees and you have only 3000 rupees available with you, you can maximum buy 1 share. But in the mutual fund case, because of the decimalization, you can put any amount and they will give you a fractional allotment. And in this particular case, we've taken 4 decimals. Some mutual funds take only 2, some mutual funds take 3, but most of them go up to 4 decimals. Now you will notice that the same 1 lakh 1 year ago bought 10,000 units. After 1 year, it's bought only 6,802 units. So you get lesser units as the NAV goes up, the price goes up, you get lesser number of units. Now what's happened is, after this person has purchased, we've got a new AUM of 15.7 lakhs because the 14.7 was before this, and the person has bought in 100,000 rupees, so it's got 15.7 lakhs. The number of units has also increased from 100,000 to 106,802.72, up point whatever's after the decimal. So the price per unit still remains the same. If you divide 15.7 lakhs by the number of units, you will still get 14.7. Mutual funds have loads. Now they used to have entry loads. Now these are banned by SEBI, so you don't have to worry about them. But let's just look at what they were. If you had a 2% entry load and you invested 100,000 rupees, only 98,000 rupees would get invested. Actually, the 2,000 was an entry load, a fee of sorts. It no longer exists, but now exit loads exist. That means if you leave within a certain period, you might have to pay a percentage of your money to have exited too early. This is used to prevent churning, get in, get out, get in, get out. This is a tough thing for the fund manager. So they might just say something like, get in, get out before 30 days and we'll charge you 1% as an exit load. Get out before 1 year and we'll charge you 2%, and so on. It changes, it varies based on the funds. There are also some commissions that are usually paid to distributors who basically help you fill forms and take the forms to the registrars and so on. Nowadays, this is paid out of management fees, or if you leave too early through the exit load itself. You don't have to worry about that anymore as well. The mutual funds themselves, the AMCs, charge a fee, about 2.5%. That's the max they can charge. SEBI mandates that. This 2.5% of the total assets they have under management. What they do is they take the daily average assets under management for the entire mutual fund, and they deduct this amount on a daily basis. So what happens is it's reflected in the net asset value itself. So what happens is, if it's a small amount of fee, they divide the whole 2.5% divided by 365 for 1 day, deduct that much amount. Whatever's left, they divide the number of units and then calculate the NAV based on that. There is no profit sharing fee allowed for mutual funds in India. So if a mutual fund says, well, if I make you 5 lakhs, I will take 10% of that. That is not allowed in India for mutual funds. Now, the higher the assets under management, the lower the percentage amount of the fees. So a small fund of say 5 or 6 crores may charge 2.5% because they needed to cover the expenses. But as they collect more and more money, maybe they go to 500 crores, they may charge only 1.5%. And SEBI also has a structure that makes them make sure that the 2.5% maximum reduces as the amount of assets they have increases. Debt mutual funds, typically they earn 8-9% a year, so they can't have 2.5%. It'll take such a big chunk of your returns out, so they tend to have lower fees as well. And that was our introduction to mutual funds. We would love to hear your comments. Please email us, visit our forums, lessons@marketvision.in. That's where you can find us. And look forward to our next set of lessons that are coming in, how a mutual fund is priced, and a lot more information on mutual funds. Thanks for listening.